This week on the Road with Mickey, Disney with teens versus Disney with little kids.
We're on the road with Mickey, we're gonna have some fun. Regardless of the rain or sun, our trip has just begun. So buckle up, let's go. We're about to start the show. And maybe if you like us, you'll see where else we'll
Hey
go.
everyone, I'm Mike, and she's Sophie.
And she's Brenda.
Hi, everyone.
Hey Brenda,
Hey,
he's
hey, hey.
Grogu. He's like, hey Brenda,
He's my buddy.
you look fabulous.
He's my buddy. He's my pal.
He's like, I
Yeah.
like your green.
Oh, I like yours too.
It matches.
Yes, they were twinning it today.
That's right.
And we are on the road with Mickey. This is episode 319 for July 27th, 2026. And our feature topic this week is Disney with teens versus Disney with little kids. And the whole idea behind it is to talk about ways that your trip will be different when you're going as a little kid versus when you're going as a teenager, or when you're taking your little kids or taking your teenagers. So we'll see where that conversation ends up. But first, we have a little bit of cheddar from the big cheese. Originally, I didn't see any of this cheddar. And then I saw this and I'm like, oh, we got to talk about this because it's actually all involving the magic of Disney animation. So, the big announcement, and I just happened upon it quite by accident, is that the magic of Disney animation, the building itself with everything inside of it, is opening on September 14th.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Very excited. It was supposed to be late summer. I
Yeah.
guess they consider that late summer. I guess it doesn't turn fall till the 21st or 22nd of September. I was thinking it meant like sometime in August, but that's
Yeah.
okay because I thought wrong.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's a very minor setback, I would say. It's only about a
Yeah.
month.
And it
Hmm.
is going to have some wonderful areas like Drawn to Wonderland, Off the Page, Olaf Draws, and Once Upon a Studio Theater. I like the Olaf Draws, but I really, 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 really hope that Disney will consider doing a Imagineer with Olaf Draws. Because I really
Hmm.
miss, I used to love it when we would go in there and the Imagineer was in there. It kind of excited kids for what they might want to become. Obviously, they can't become Olaf. You know what I mean? Like, we need to build up the excitement for being an Imagineer. We have another generation that needs to come through.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
that's
that's
my 2 cents.
true.
Of course, I'm going to offer it because why not? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, we'll just see what happens, shall we?
hmm.
Yep.
In the meantime, before the opening, you can watch a special on Disney Plus. It's called Once Upon a Studio to learn more about the inspiration behind the new area.
Oh,
And Daddy
nice.
actually shared a page from the Disney Parks blog that I'm going to put in the show notes.
Very
Okay.
nice. Well, unfortunately, it won't be open for my August trip, but it will be open for December.
That's right. It sure
It
will.
will be the primary thing to check out.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
wonder how busy it's going to be. Hopefully, very.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
I hope so.
All
All,
right.
all right. Well, that is the summary of all of our cheddar for this week. Because I'm like, you know what? I didn't see a lot, and it seems like this is kind of a quiet summer month. But then I
Yeah.
saw that, and I'm like, well, there's enough here for all of us to talk about.
I'm
Oh,
So,
kind of
yeah.
glad it ended up being a standalone because this is
yeah,
a big deal for us. Like, we really missed having Animation Courtyard. So this is a big deal.
yeah. All right. Well, don't forget, you can connect with us on our Facebook page. That's On the Road with Mickey. Go figure. Our Facebook group is the On the Road with Mickey group. Our YouTube channel. Hello, YouTubers. We are On the Road with Mickey. Thank you for liking and subscribing and following along online. Our Instagram channel is also On the Road with Mickey. Email address is info@ontheroadwithmickey.com. And the website is also ontheroadwithmickey.com. And this week, our question of the week feedback, we asked a repeat question because we didn't get as much response as we wanted. And so the question is, what is your favorite attraction lore and backstory? And that opened up some more discussion. So I took
Yay.
out
Yes.
last week's answers. Sophie, why don't you start with the first one?
Yes, and I will say I am quite satisfied with this week's batch of answers now. So thank you, everybody who deigned to answer an old question for me. We'll start with Deb, who says the story that goes with and the pre-show at Guardians of the Galaxy. You've got a like-minded friend, Aunt Brenda.
Yes. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Ah,
Well,
and then,
Laurie said
okay,
Tom Sawyer Island was an old fort, and this is where Tom played as a kid. She also loves Captain EO, Golden Dreams, Bugs Land, and Cali Rapids. I wonder if she saw the new Michael Jackson movie.
I don't
Hey,
know.
Captain
Hey,
EO was good though. I thought too.
yeah. Yeah, and Pam might have summed it up because she wasn't quite sure what a backstory was. So I explained to her a little bit about backstories and how they help with the attractions. And so she and it's almost a question. And so Sophie, you tell us if this is the official backstory for
Oh,
Kilimanjaro Safari because she said so Kilimanjaro Safari was created to rescue Little Red from poachers that kidnapped and that was Big Red's calf, which was the original storyline was, you would go racing off and to save him from the poachers. And
yeah, they
that's not
changed
it.
it.
So I
Yeah.
wonder, do you guys think that is the backstory behind it?
so that is the original
Original.
plot of the Kilimanjaro
All
Safaris.
right.
The original one originally featured, and this is from Google, but I wanted to just fact check and everything. This is what Google has to say. The backstory originally featured a dramatic anti poaching narrative involving a distressed mother elephant named Big Red and her baby Little Red that the safari truck had to rescue. Guests would listen to radio chatter from Reserve Warden Wilson Matua and researcher Catherine Jobson, tracking down poachers who had abducted Big Red and Little Red. There was a traumatizing climax where the truck would come across the lifeless body of Big Red, a grim prop, mind you, it was not real, and
Yes.
eventually the conflict would be resolved with the guides scaring off the poachers and ensuring that Little Red was safe.
So
Yep.
so
She is
yes, Pam,
absolutely
you
right.
nailed it. And
Yep.
I
Yep.
I didn't really think about it because it hasn't been that way for so long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it started to gradually move away from that over the years because as poignant as that storyline is, I think it actually subtracted from the real life animals that you see out there on the safari. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
that's why they slowly got rid of it over the years. I remember when I was a little girl and we went on that ride, I remember very clearly at it was sometime during the safari, there would be a radio call that would come on and
That's
it would
right.
be like,
Hmm.
alert, there are poachers in the area.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what happened after that, but I do remember that.
You went to chase them.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
a point
That
near
was.
right near the very end where you were chasing them
Yeah.
down, and they're like,
Yes.
"Everybody, get down." They didn't quite
Yeah.
say that, but anyway.
Nope.
All
Well,
right, all right. Sophie, read your Aunt Robin's.
yes. This one is a very good one, I think. My Aunt Robin, bless her, she listens to me talk about Disney trivia all day and night. She said, there is a backstory about the house in Living with the Land. I don't know all the deets, but I think it's a working office, and she is right. The
Yeah.
house that you see there, you can see in the window from the garden grill. That house is actually a facade for an Imagineer office. I don't know if it's still in use, but it was in use when the park originally opened.
Yeah, and we actually
Yeah.
talked about that, and credit to me anyway. I learned that when we had our conversation with Ira David Wood, and how he talked about how his brother-in-law worked at Disney World, and he worked in the house. That was where his
Oh,
office
that's
was,
awesome.
and I was like, how cool is that? And I didn't know this, and so a non-Disney guy coming onto our show,
That's great.
he learned me a
Yeah, but
thing or
he's still
two.
a special guy.
I
And
don't think
isn't
he's a
it true that the whole
non-Disney.
house facade is modeled after Walt Disney's house when he was a boy?
I think so. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think so
And
too.
we
I'll
love him a
fact
little bit
check
around
that.
here.
Yeah. So, so great additions. Thank you everyone for following
Yay!
up and giving us some more details on all that. That's really cool.
Thank you for
So,
sharing.
and of course, if anyone has any questions about any backstories or if they want to continue the conversation, the posts are always in the group. So feel free to add to it and just keep the discussion going. So,
Yep. Can't wait
all
for
right.
Sophie's question this week, so we'll hear
I
that
know.
later.
We will. And
Yes, we
so
will.
it is now time for our feature topic. We are looking at Disney with teens versus Disney with little kids. And the whole idea behind it is, for me anyway, was to kind of think about some of the ways that we did Walt Disney World when Sophie was a wee little lass, and how we do it
Aw.
now that she's, not a lass, she's an adult, and just the way that those trips can change over time. And so that's just we're just kind of throwing some thoughts out. We'll see where the conversation leads. Nothing really set in stone on what. So, Brenda, you start us off. You always have a lot to say.
Well, when planning a Disney trip with little ones versus teens, one of the things to consider when right off the bat that you're going to need to decide is um, this is going to be controversial. I'm going to say that right now. But when my kids were young, I never let them miss any school. Like they were not allowed to miss school. They had to stay healthy. They had to eat right, everything. But there was that one week of February or November, depending on when it was, that we took them out of school for a week. And I know this does not make teachers happy. This was a long time ago, but I still today would do the same. We took them out of school for a week and took them to Disney when the crowds were lower. When kids become, I would say, junior high, tween and up, they they can't do that. I mean, you can't, take them out of school for a week. There's too much. There's too much they miss, and as far as I'm concerned, now maybe other people do that, and that's great. But I think a big difference in planning when you're going to go is around school schedules and how old your kids are.
Hmm.
And like I said, I hope this is not going to make anybody mad. And I know teachers are, Robin, don't come at me. Okay. Because I mean, I made sure they were there and I made sure they did all the homework they missed and everything. But now when, with like Aaliyah and McKinley, they can't miss anymore. So
Yeah.
we do have to plan around that when we visit with them. So that's just the first thing off the bat, because to me, the first thing you need to know is when you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's actually a very um important detail. So it's a good thing that you talked about it.
Hmm.
I, Daddy, we were blessed that I had a birthday that happened over summer vacation.
Hmm.
Just
So
like Brenda.
whenever,
Yeah.
yeah, whenever we went for my birthday, we never had to worry about school. But I do remember a few times when I did go to Disney during the school year, and a good compromise was that I would take something from my trip and relate it back to the school curriculum. That way I could claim that the trip was educational.
We did that too. Yeah. That was a
Yeah.
great and it's good because they can learn a lot.
Mm,
Oh,
they
yeah.
sure can. Yeah, we very rarely um, took Sophie out of school to go just because of that, because school's so important. Um,
Mhm.
a couple times, what we would do is we would go for like a long weekend, and maybe we would leave um, like on a Thursday before a teacher work day, like after
Yeah.
lunch or something, so come out a little bit early for school, and then you have a teacher work day. So you got Friday, you can be at the parks, and Saturday you can be at the parks and come home Sunday. So we're the same boat, Brenda. We wanted to minimize as much as possible. Um, but you're also right that, you know, the summer, sometimes you don't have a choice and you have to do it during the summer, but you also are dealing with a lot of heat and you're also dealing with a lot of crowds because a lot of people are the same way. They're like, I can't do it during the off hours. I have to do it
Yeah.
during the summer. And
Yeah.
there's no wrong answer on that by any stretch.
Yeah.
So
Everyone
it's
has to
all
do what they're
what they
okay
have
with.
to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but you're absolutely right. That is a big question. Are you going to try and do a time period when you would need to, and age certainly matters.
Yes.
If your kids are rising seniors, absolutely no way should you take them out of school that senior
Well,
year
and
to
even
go
I
to
mean,
Disney.
even as soon as you're in, as soon as
Yeah.
you're in high school and you're in band or you're in dance, they start like they've already started practicing. So you can it's like there's so much stuff now that
Yeah.
wasn't
Oh,
even
yeah.
a hindrance back
Hmm.
then, like at the extent that it is now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
God, families really have to try to work in that special time together. And you know what? Whatever time they can work out is fantastic. Let's plan
Yes.
it because
Yeah.
And
they need that.
Yeah.
and you know what? Maybe that's a way where year-round schooling is potentially advantageous because
Hmm.
they have that different um, schedule. They're
Yeah.
in for what is it, 6 to 9 weeks and then out for three. That could work if you have a 3-week period during the off season. You
Yeah.
could go to Disney during that time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. We don't have
Although,
that. And it's unfortunate because it's too hot in the summers. Their summers are really, I mean, goodness, stuck inside,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
yeah. I would say
Anyway,
though, if
that's
you were going to
another thing.
ask any child that's in year-round schooling, when you say how long are you in school, they would say all year long. The
Yeah.
six
Well,
to nine weeks,
yeah.
they feel like they're going and they're never out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
I'm just kidding though. But yeah, and that does make a difference. And I think the rule of thumb is after fifth grade, probably that's when you need to stop,
I
just
agree. Yeah.
because there's so
It makes
much
things
more.
hard on them.
But yeah, that's a really good point, Brenda. And I don't think it's controversial at all. I think it's just a matter of reality and looking at what
Hmm.
you and your family needs and how they are going to acquire that. So yeah. All right. Well, one of the things that I was thinking about is in when Sophie's first trip, she was 4, and we stayed off property with some friends, and we only went to the parks a couple of days, and we also just planned a lot of time at the resort that we were staying at. So there were things we did there, water, the pool area and everything like
Yeah.
that. Um, but there's also um, when you're in the parks, there's also things you have to make sure you're aware of. Little kids, you got to make sure that you're um, that height requirements and things
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. For the longest time, Sophie wanted to ride Primeval Whirl,
Primeval Whirl.
and she never could because she wasn't 4 feet tall. She wasn't 48 inches. And it wasn't until sometime later that she was finally able to ride it. And then she was like, oh, is that it? It was one of
Yeah,
those experiences where you like the anticipation of the ride
was
was
more
more than the
exciting than the
actual
ride
ride.
itself.
So
Yeah.
Oh, little 3 foot something me was convinced that Primeval World was the end all be all ride at Animal Kingdom when
yep.
I
Well,
was
and
a
you
little
always
girl.
especially want something you can't have. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's nature.
So so yeah,
Of
so
course,
for some I guess
Pandora didn't
the
exist at that point, but
no it sure
now,
didn't. It
So
sure
grateful
didn't.
it does now, right?
Yeah.
so grateful.
So yeah, so little kids pay attention to what the height requirements are for
Yeah,
attractions and where your family can fit in. And um that's where travel agents, if you're using a travel agent, they can help with so much of that because we typically, if we don't have it already somewhere in our notes, we can find it pretty quickly to help guide what rides the littles can do and which ones they can't. So we can help plan the expectations for that.
Yep.
and furthermore, sort of piggybacking on that particular thing, you got to keep in mind what interests your kids have, whether they're children or teens, because that's one of the biggest differences. Teens teens have a way more diverse palette of interests, I would say. The teens would obviously love Guardians of the Galaxy. They would love Avatar Flight of Passage. They would love Expedition Everest and all the things. But a little kid, like when I was a little girl and we went to Epcot for the first time, of course, Guardians didn't exist at that point. But Epcot was the most boring park to me when
Do
I was
you
a
know,
little kid.
Sophie, that that is still, after all these years, that is still a misconception that I hear all the time
Mm-hmm.
because parents who are now taking their littles went to Epcot when they were little. They went at one time. They've not seen it in years and years, and that is still a misconception about Epcot.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
Back
that
then,
makes
it was true
total
for little kids
sense
because there really wasn't much. But
because it was
now,
designed to be the adult park. Now
yeah,
it's
and one
Yeah.
of the
much
greatest things they ever
different.
did was put Elsa and Anna there because that is the only place that you can go and meet them.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
they've
suppose
strategically made it more family friendly for sure, and I think they've done a great job. And I'm glad Guardians is there.
I
Yeah.
miss Maelstrom, but anyway.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm glad we rode Frozen though.
Yeah,
yeah. But
I
Maelstrom was
Uh,
the first ride that
mhm.
Sophie and I ever rode together.
I know, and
yeah.
you rode it with me too, Brenda.
I
It's the first
know,
ride
but
that
you
you
know,
and
she
I
was
ever
so
rode together.
tiny.
Yeah.
She was so
And I pointed out
And
the
tiny.
hidden Mickey
even
to you.
then,
That's
she was
right.
schooling you. She was
I
schooling
know.
you
I know it on her trivia.
on her trivia.
That little
Golly.
girl.
How old was I at that point?
That was 2011.
2011.
So
Oh my
you were
gosh.
10 years old.
10. Oh, good
15
Lord.
years
Girl.
ago. You
So
all have been
sweet.
besties for 15 years
Yeah,
now.
we need to find those pictures.
I've got them. I've got
Anyway,
Oh
them.
I
my.
digress because I'm, reliving the past again, which is so
Which
precious
is
to me.
part of what this topic's about too,
Yeah.
Yeah.
is remembering our memories.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Daddy? Just so we're absolutely clear, Disneyland Paris has an entire land dedicated to Frozen.
Yeah, I know.
She's
I
hinting
know.
again. Wasn't this last week that she said something about that?
Hmm.
Any chance y'all are going to be visiting Disneyland Paris soon?
Not
No,
not on my calendar.
It's a
not
dream.
until
Not
not
yet.
for a few more years at least.
I have
Yeah.
a dream. I have a dream.
Now I want to visit
Anyway,
Disneyland Tokyo because that's where the Rapunzel ride is.
well,
There
there you
you go.
go. There's
Uh,
always going to be a new thing to discover.
there
Even
always will
visiting Walt
be.
Disney World again, there's always new things to discover,
Hmm.
You're
thankfully. And
right.
that's the way Walt wanted it.
You are
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right.
Well, Another thing, is it my turn?
Go for it.
Yes.
It's
Another
anyone's
thing,
turn.
because I do everything, it's like I do everything in order because I'm a list maker. The second thing after you know when you want to go to me is choosing your resort. And I think, and this depends on everyone's budget. Everyone's trip is personal, but given the choice, just overall, um, when you're traveling with little kids, you want to stay at places that are kind of kid friendly, like the more kid friendly options that don't have water slides are like the Art of Animation. Their pool has the
Hmm.
underwater music and everything, and it's the biggest pool at a value property. It's just fun. There's playgrounds there for kids and everything when you're staying at those value type properties that are very kid friendly.
Oh,
But
yeah.
when you're traveling with teens, my personal preference is a two-bedroom villa because teens want their space, and so do I. And I want to be connected in the living room area and in the kitchen and enjoy time together, but then we can each have space to ourselves. And I think that's important for teens. So, given the opportunity, choosing your resort is going to be important depending on how old your kids are when you're traveling.
Yeah, that's very true. Um, and at first, when you said that there are some resorts that are more kid-friendly than others, I admit I wasn't sure what you meant, but then I thought about it some more, and I'm like, huh, actually, she's right. I suppose that Pop Century and Art of Animation would be more kid-friendly than, say, Port Orleans Riverside, because as beautiful as that resort is, it's got the stately manor homes. It's very traditional and antebellum South and historical in a way. And little 5-year-old Sophie would have found it absolutely boring.
But there is one thing that moderates have that values don't, and that is water slides at the pool. And that's
Yep.
Mm,
important to some kids. So, also the Royal Guest Rooms have been redone recently at Port Orleans and they're kind of cool. I liked the old ones too, where the headboard did the fireworks, but now it's all like
Oh,
all lit
yeah.
up and it looks cool. And, that's another option if the kids are interested in having the water slides and stuff. And like kids who have pools at home, people are like, that's not even a factor. They can swim all day at home. We want to do things we can't do. But kids that never get to do that kind of thing,
mm.
the water slides are a big, draw too. Like French Quarter, even where you slide down the serpent's
Oh,
tongue is
yeah.
like a cool looking kind of thing to do. So,
Yeah.
it just depends. And it all depends on budget too. So we do the best we can when we're trying to
Hmm.
help our guests determine what resort is best.
Yeah,
And each family is different too.
Hmm.
I feel
exactly.
like with my parents, the resort really, at the end of the day, was just a clean place to go to sleep.
Hmm.
But other families may be different. Like for you, Aunt Brenda, with your family, a resort, especially at Thanksgiving, is a place to cook as well if you're spending Thanksgiving at Disney.
Oh, I'm not
And
cooking when I'm on vacation. But we
no?
like to use the kitchen for like gathering and eating things that are like easy.
Oh,
You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like I don't want to cook a
got
full
it.
meal when I'm on vacation. That's my vacation too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
And like y'all say, it depends on your family dynamic.
Exactly. Exactly.
If you have a family that is all, um, you know, soccer, football,
Oh,
baseball, all that,
yeah.
consider somewhere like All Star Sports.
Hmm.
Even though, when we first went and stayed on property, we looked at the All Stars and we looked and as we looked at it, we did all the research before I was a travel agent, and so we're doing it all on our own, and we were like, Cindy was like, you know what? Let's look at this, and we looked at Coronado, and we were like, the price difference wasn't that
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
and we went with Coronado, and we had the best time, and it was
You get
such
a
a
lot more
great,
bang for your buck there, right?
yeah, and it was such a great place. We had um a casita or something. It was like a little village cottage thing, and it was just really nice. Um, and I'm so glad we did that. But each family is different. If you got the sports people, probably staying at All Stars or something like that and being right over there is just where it's at. And um, so
But you
it all
do have to
depends on your
remember that you're
family.
sharing bus service among the
Yeah.
three, so that's more travel time. So that's
Yep.
another factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why everyone's trip is personal. It's just
Hmm.
totally you can tailor make it to whatever you need.
Yeah.
And you know what, Daddy? I I vaguely remember seeing you and Mommy researching the resorts like that when I was a
Oh
little
my
girl.
goodness.
And the funny thing is, monkey see, monkey do, because after we got back from that Coronado trip for the first time, Daddy or Mommy came in, found me on the computer, and was like, Sophie, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm making a PowerPoint about all the Disney resorts and which ones I want to stay at.
Oh, sweet. I love that.
Oh my gosh. I had almost all of them on there,
I love that. That's fabulous.
but it was
Yeah.
like looking at a dark hardwood desk from bird's eye view, and you had all the photos with the chunky white borders to make them look like Polaroids.
Yeah.
It was it was hysterical.
Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah. So, so
Yep, doing
yeah. So
research. Yep.
your resort definitely matters. You also have to factor in um, what, like Sophie mentioned, your family's interest. That will help determine what parks do you want to hit up and what
Oh yeah.
attractions at each of those parks do you want to hit up. For it all comes down to, as much fun as it is at the resorts and everything, we're going to Disney because we want to go to the Magic Kingdom, we want to go to Animal Kingdom, we want to go to Epcot, we want to go to Hollywood Studios. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
that's why you go. You don't go just to
Absolutely.
stay in your resort. You go to the parks.
Oh
And
yeah.
so you have to build that research um of what
Which
matters,
ride? Yeah.
and yeah, the height requirements are a factor. Also, the thrill level
Mhm.
of your guest matters.
Yeah.
Um,
And
whether you're
kids will
whether your kids are
sorry.
into all the characters, or whether they are not into the meet and greets and stuff like that. I remember when Sophie was 6, 7, 8, and so forth. The girl was such a Donald Duck fanatic.
Oh, sweet.
It was so awesome. So we would see Donald in Toontown Fair with all the other Fab Four characters,
Mhm.
and we would go see Donald there, and then we'd go see Donald over at Epcot to ride over at the Grand the Three Caballeros,
Yep.
and then we would go see Donald over at, back then it was Restaurantosaurus for the character meal, and
Yeah.
we would go see Donald at Chef Mickey, and it was always Donald, 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 and I'm like, golly,
And
can we get
Daisy,
over
Daisy, Daisy,
Donald?
Daisy for Cindy.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was all about Donald. And so we tailored our trip in part around, okay, we're going to go
Yeah.
spend half an hour and we're going to just stand in the line to see characters.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
that's
Yeah.
what we're going to do.
And then
But
as I
Yeah.
got older, I started to grow out of that phase, and I think
yeah,
my dad was secretly overjoyed.
But
but
you do have to tailor it
you
after
have
whatever
to
they want.
plan it based on
Josh
what
on
Yep.
it's
his
saying.
first trip, all he wanted was to drive the car at Tomorrowland.
Oh.
That's all he wanted was to drive that car. It was his whole focus on our whole trip was that. So come heck or high water, you can bet that thing was happening, right?
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Ryan Speedway,
Yeah.
he loved it.
Yeah,
He
all
put his
Yep.
hat on
2.7
backwards and he
miles
got
per
in that
hour.
car.
All 2.7 miles per hour.
And of course, you gotta, of course, some kids are naturally going to be a little bit more timid than others. Like, Aunt Brenda, I don't know if you knew this about me. You know my two favorite rides now, Haunted Mansion and,
Living with the
S-
land.
well, Splash Mountain.
Oh,
Two favorite rides that Magic Kingdom
Oh,
we'll
okay,
go
sorry.
with. I was terrified of them both for many, many years.
Yeah. You
My
had to grow into it.
dad tried to take me on the Haunted Mansion, and I didn't get past the pre-show, I don't think. I was so scared
It's kind of
by
scary.
seeing it is scary. It
Yeah.
is scary, and I was terrified. And I'm like, Daddy, don't make me go on this. This is so scary. Well,
Yeah.
and then with Splash Mountain, that's an infamous story. Daddy, do you want to tell that one?
Yes, we finally decided to do Splash Mountain, and we are riding it, and Sophie didn't realize the big drop, but she also didn't realize the little drops. And there was the scene where we were in the area where the bees were, and there was a teeny tiny little drop, and for whatever reason, the drop generated some force and it blew my safari hat off, and it landed right in Sophie's lap. And she started screaming because she thought it was a beehive that had fallen in her lap on the ride.
I'm not laughing.
Yeah, you
It's
are.
okay. You can laugh. It's all right. It was funny in hindsight. But
Yes.
I'm still a little bit iffy
Poor
about bees,
baby.
but no, Tiny Sophie's scared to death of bees.
And
Yeah,
so
I don't like bees. I'm
I
scared of
thought
bees.
I'd lost my hat. I'm just glad it was just right behind me in Sophie's lap. And then we get to the drop, the
Oh my gosh.
52-foot drop, and she is holding on to Cindy's arm so tightly that Cindy's like, "Girl, you're going to break my arm." And it was all
Poor
good though.
thing. And
Oh,
now she loves it.
Yep.
yeah, now I love it. And my mom was like,
Yeah.
"You almost broke my arm just to come around here and say that you loved it."
Sweet. Well, you
Yeah.
had to write it the first, so there's always a first time.
You're
Yeah.
right. And little
Yeah.
Sophie didn't know about the tunnel that went under the briar patch. All little Sophie saw was
Was
that boat go down the 50-foot drop and land in a patch of thorns. And I'm
yep.
like,
That's right. That's
I'm
right.
gonna die on that ride.
Mm-hmm.
Or at
She
least it's
didn't,
gonna hurt a lot.
Yep.
yeah,
They did a good job with that one.
yeah.
Yeah.
They did a good job with all of them.
Yeah, they do. They do. But that takes it back to what
Hmm.
are some it's so
Yeah.
the follow up to that is maybe you spend a little bit of time depending on the age of your kids, especially if they're littler. Maybe you spend a little bit of time and you look at some of the ride videos that you can find on YouTube for some of these
Yeah.
Yeah.
attractions,
They're
and
all
then
out there. Yeah.
help to figure out, okay, little Timmy will like this one, but Missy or Sally or whoever will absolutely hate this one,
Oh
or
yeah.
vice
Yeah.
versa, and
Yeah, I have
so
And the
clients that
maybe.
kids.
recently traveled with their oldest son is his autistic. He's on the spectrum.
Mhm.
And this couple in particular spent their honeymoon or their Disney moon at Disney. And now they went back for the first time with all three boys. Their oldest has autism, but he he's come a long way, like with
Oh,
therapy and etc. But they were not sure exactly how he would take to anything. So they literally, because he has to know and he's very regimented, they sat down and watched every ride on and asked him if he was interested in riding it or not. And they had a total plan before they went.
yeah, awesome.
And amazingly,
Amazing.
all three kids loved every roller coaster and thrill ride. They had no idea if he would even go on a ride. And it was just the most wonderful trip. So planning is
Oh,
muy
those are
importante.
It
those are
is.
some
It
excellent
is.
parents right there. I can
Yep.
already tell. And
Yes.
Yeah.
that's the thing. Little kids are bound to be more picky than a teenager would because a teenager knows at the end of the day, Disney is an amusement park and you are there to have fun. And there should not be an instance where you will be bored at Disney. But kids don't know that necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
right.
kids also don't know that everything at Disney is designed to be perfectly safe.
Yeah.
Like, sure, it will make you think that you're in danger for a few instances, but
Yep.
you are never going to get hurt at Disney. And if you do, there are plenty of people there to make sure that you get better.
Yeah. And that's part of
We
it,
trust them. We trust the
that
brand.
Oh,
you
yeah.
do trust the brand. And that also brings up the one next point that I was thinking about is the Disney magic and how much that Disney magic really makes a difference, especially with the younger generation and the younger kids, and just seeing something come to life in front of their eyes. And it's just like absolutely phenomenal to see that Disney magic hit home, you know? And you know what though? Disney magic is not just for kids.
No way.
Disney Magic is for everyone. I just read one of my friends on Facebook celebrated her 26th birthday, and she went with a friend to the parks, and they were at Epcot, and they were heading out like they're going to go to the International Gateway to go to the Skyliner. And she's like, and sometimes you never know what characters you might meet. Sometimes you might just meet Merida, you might meet whoever. And they walked down, and there was Merida, and she didn't know that she was there.
Oh,
And
that's
Merida was
awesome.
her absolute favorite, and she got
Sweet.
to see Merida on her birthday. And so
Yay.
it's
That's
like
awesome.
so cool. So happy birthday, Katie. But it's
Happy
just
birthday, Johnny.
and happy birthday, Johnny. Yes. Today is John's birthday that we're recording. But
Ooh.
but it's really neat when that magic
Yeah.
hits, and you never know when it's going to hit and what it's going to look like, and it can absolutely totally make every moment, whatever good or bad, it can just make everything all worth it for that one moment of Disney magic. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, the Disney magic is totally a real thing.
For sure.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
still living in it. We're gonna
Yeah.
hold on to it with both hands, gripping as tight as we can for the rest of
Uh-huh.
our lives.
Yep. Yep.
Well, whose
All
turn is
right.
it?
We've been going in turns.
I don't know. Have we?
Not
I
really.
thought it was just like natural conversation.
That's
Yeah.
true. Well, let's naturally talk about another difference when you're traveling with teens versus traveling with little kids.
Hmm.
Little kids tend to get up early.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so you want to take advantage of early entry. You want to take advantage of rope drop, all the things. And then later on, they're going to go poop. So you can go back to the resort and have a little nappy poo. And then you can go back at night for fireworks if you want to. But
I thought,
teenagers are going to throw something at you if you try to get them up early in the morning to go to the park. They want to sleep in, most of them. I'm not saying all. Most teenagers want to sleep in and stay up late. So there is definitely a difference when you're touring the parks with little kids versus with teens.
oh, yeah.
I am a teen, I think, because I'm the same way. I like to sleep in a bit and stay out really late and close the parks down.
I am a hybrid then in that case because when I was at Disney for my solo trip, your girl was up at 7 in the morning. Actually, no, often I was up at 6 in the morning, but I chose to lay in bed for an hour, getting ready, getting dressed, going to um Memory Hall at Pop Century, eating a quick breakfast, and then I was off to the parks and I did not come back until whatever park I was at closed for the day. I was
Nice.
up with the sun, back in my resort long after sunset, and it was
Yeah.
great.
Yep,
It
yep.
was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Those solo trips, you
Admittedly,
can do whatever you want.
admittedly, for the Epcot day, I kind of got done everything I wanted to get done, went back to my resort for a minute because it was getting very hot. But then I
I was
park
gonna
hopped over
say.
to Hollywood Studios
I was
and I
gonna
closed
say
down the park with Rise.
that trip for you, it was like 800 degrees, it felt like. I remember you
Yeah.
texting us. I'm going back to the resort. It's hot out. I'm tired.
Yeah, yeah.
I wanted to keep you updated, and you were
Yeah,
probably stalking me on Life 360, being like,
of
oh, look,
course we
she's on the
were.
move again.
Yeah, of
Yep.
course we were.
Of course. That's part of the
Um,
fun.
but that is a very valid point though about your timing of when you do things.
Hmm.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so that really does make a big difference. And also what makes a difference in how you do the parks is also dependent on how much time you have in your trip.
Yeah.
For us in the April May trip, we were doing um we did all four parks, but we had 3 days, and so we were maximizing
Oh, for sure.
everything.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
we were at Magic Kingdom bright and early and we stayed till close. And then we were at Epcot bright and early and stayed till close and on and on and on.
That's very
And
true
so,
because we have like a week or so when we're there, so we can have more time. But you're right. When you're trying to cram everything into a little short weekend, you're right. That's the way you go.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it makes a difference. It matters as to how much time you have as to what you do. And also it matters if we were deliberate because most of the time when we go for a shorter trip, we don't go to all the parks. But this year we wanted to go to all the parks because to we had been to Magic Kingdom and Epcot, and
Hadn't been
we
to
hadn't been to
Hollywood
Animal Kingdom in
Studios.
a long time, and we hadn't been to Hollywood Studios in a while. So I'm like, let's get all of our parks in and just see what we can do.
Yeah.
So and that matters. And it mattered to us that time, but it doesn't always have to. It all depends on the pace that you're going at. But like Brenda, I'm a more of a sleep later, go to the parks a little bit later, and then
Yep.
stay all night.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I'm just thankful I can still go, and I'm thankful I can still write everything.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, another thing that matters also is dining. Hello,
Very much so.
boys got to eat.
Oh,
So
yeah.
does girl, especially snacks.
So does girl times two, especially both.
Yes. So, so
And so does little
what?
guy.
Yeah. So what are we eating? It all depends on your family. Um,
Little Sophie was, let's be real, little Sophie lived on peanut butter and jellies, sandwiches,
hmm
both at school and at Disney. Little Sophie's main meal at Disney was a Smucker's Uncrustable grape jelly with a pack of carrots and maybe a juice box. That was what little Sophie lived off of.
And
Big
she was a
Sophie,
happy little girl.
yes.
a happy little girl. Big Sophie is a little bit bigger and will eat more interesting things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing though is also though that little Sophie, or at least little Sophie's parents, little Sophie's dad, was like, "What character meals can we get for little Sophie?"
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
so, exactly, love you too, baby. So it really comes down to, what is your family? I mean, if you were a 15-year-old boy, I doubt we'd be wanting to have lunch with Winnie the Pooh. I'm just guessing that's probably not a thing.
Well,
Maybe
I
it
I
is,
also
mean,
you
also
know?
think
maybe
if
the
you're a teenage girl,
princesses.
you don't care about character dining like little kids.
Yeah.
I don't know. The teenage guys I could see going after the princesses, but
Yeah, but not Pooh Bear, not Piglet, maybe
no.
Tigger, but not Eeyore.
I remember the last time we ate at the Crystal Palace, Tigger did the Michael Jackson moonwalk, and that was so cool.
And I have that
Sweet.
video. It's out on YouTube
Yay.
of him,
Yay.
and it was so cool, and it was really neat because he stole my hat. He stole my
He
hat,
needed
and he was
he
wearing it.
needed it for the act.
Yes.
Cute.
So, So it was really good video, good
Yeah.
times. But that's a factor, you know. What kind of food are your teenagers wanting? What kind of food are your littles wanting? Are they wanting to eat with Mickey and Minnie and all that over at Chef Mickey's, or are they, you know, do they want more food? Do they want to eat at Garden Grill, or do they want to go to Tusker House or something
Yeah.
like that, or do they care about the characters at all? So
Well, I find that with my family, once the teens were teens, they just wanted to do quick service because they don't want to be tied to a reservation anywhere. They want to be free spirited to go about. And we would separate. We'd separate at the park and then we'd meet up for our meal. And they were like, like, do you want to go to like one of the places we had gone when they were younger that were character dining? They're like, no, let's just meet at Cosmic Rays. We'll have. So it's like teens want to have more freedom in my case and
Yeah.
just do quick service. And the character dining is real important to some kids and some families. So even when you're talking about the dining plan, for my upcoming trip for the end of August, we had, like, I made all of our reservations. It's just Butch and I going. We're going right before a celebrity cruise. But we made our dining reservations. And then I literally went in, which I do this every trip, but I wrote down what we're going to order at each of the places because we are creatures of habit and we always get pretty much the same things. If it's family style like Ohana, that's a given. But like at Via Napoli, we always order the same thing. If we go to Raglan Road, we order the same thing. And I did my little spreadsheet of how much we're going to spend. And then I compared that to adding the Disney dining plan for the two of us. There was only, because of how we eat and we share desserts, um, there was only like a $30 difference if we bought the dining plan versus just paying out of pocket. And with the Kids Eat Free dining plan currently for the kids 3 to
mhm.
9, if the parent buys the dining plan, if we were going to any character dining, which we are not, that dining plan would have been the better value. And
Yeah,
I was shocked.
yeah,
I was shocked because there was a time that that was the case, and then there was a time that it stopped being the case. But now,
Yeah.
especially with the kids dying free with the parents, it would be worth it. I'm sure. I mean, you'd
Oh,
have to
yeah.
like do the numbers, but
yeah.
I was surprised there was only like a $30 difference
So you
because
ordered it?
we did not. No, because it was
Okay.
$30 saving because I want to have what I want. I don't want to have because you get an entree and a dessert and a drink. But we share the humongous pizza at
Hmm.
Via Napoli, but you get like if you're on the dining plan, you get like two personal pizzas. That's not enough pizza for us. And we get a pitcher of beer there. It's the only place we get alcohol. So it's like it's not worth it for us in this one instance,
Right.
but just because of how we eat and we share our dessert, we share our bread and butter pudding where you don't get each a dessert, and I don't want to waste. So
Right.
we
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
But, I was surprised there was only that much difference. I was
Yeah.
really surprised. So it's definitely something you want to consider buying the dining plan or not. And even look at if you have teens, look at what you're going to spend on your quick service meals versus getting a quick service dining plan.
I mean, what did it come out to for us when we bought the dining plan for the May trip, Daddy?
So
Or
I woke up because I was like, you know what? All we're doing is quick service, except for the one Ohana reservation that we had
Hmm.
with Sheila and Randy. And I was like, why don't I just add the quick service dining plan? Then I don't have to worry about pulling out my
Yes.
card every time or charging it back to the room. And so we did that. And then I was like, well, was it a good value? I'm a numbers guy, so I did all of the stuff that we ordered. I was looking at what it would have cost. I kept a spreadsheet,
Yep.
and when I was done, I was actually amazed because we actually paid like $200 more for the quick service dining plan than we would have if we had not done it.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
but the flip side of that though was that we also had more snacks and stuff like that than we normally would. And we also got the resort cups and
Cup.
stuff like that,
Yeah.
so we were eating more because we bought it, but we also didn't quite get the value out of it either. And so
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
that
a
is
lot of it
something that you
definitely
just have
depends on
to,
what you're getting, right?
yeah.
Because, like
And
with the dining plan, you can get the most expensive entree at any restaurant. It's still covered under the dining plan. But
mhm.
if your preference is the middle entree option, cost, it
Yeah.
may not pay off. But
Right,
if
and
you
that's what
really
it ended
like
up
the
being with
real,
us. Yeah.
the best entree that costs the most, that's going to be different. That
Hmm.
Hmm.
may definitely be worth it.
Yeah.
And I think teens do eat a lot. Let's be completely real
Especially
here.
teen boys, they killed me.
I guess it really just depends on your teen's appetite as to whether or not a dining plan would be worth it.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course, if
Yeah.
you end up getting a dining plan for free, like I did once, then it's a no-brainer. But
Hmm.
still,
Yeah, free dining is awesome, still, no
oh,
matter what.
Yeah.
Let's
yep,
bring it on, Disney. Let's bring it on.
The thing about it is there's no wrong answer, of course.
Yeah.
And it all depends. There's so many factors that play into it. What kind of environment are you wanting to take into your eating schedule? Are you wanting to make reservations? Do you have time for reservations?
Yeah.
Are you limited on time, and that's going to limit what you can do? And so all those factors play into whether a dining plan is a factor for you or not.
Yeah.
Um, I, you know what? I think if on our next trip, whenever that is, if we were to say, you know what, let's do it like we used to and have a sit down every day, then I think maybe I would do it
oh
for
yeah,
that and do the regular dining plan to have the
oh
sit
yeah,
down restaurants,
Yeah.
and then and just build that into my budget, and then also know that it's covered and I'm not coming home to a bill.
That's right. Just
yeah,
the tips, just the
yeah.
gratuities you have to pay for
Yeah.
there. Yeah, that's right. I think that's in that case if you're gonna eat what's offered, like if you're gonna each get an entree, each get a dessert, I think I think it's gonna pay off in a lot of instances. So it's worth checking out for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Well, I can't really think of anything else to add. Oh, well, I mean, one little thing to add. Little Sophie and Big Mike, not the biggest fan of the sound of fireworks.
Oh, big
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 point.
Sophie
deal.
is fine
Yes.
with it now.
And
And
so is Big Mike.
uh, yeah, especially when you have your earplugs and
I was
stuff.
gonna
But
say, you know what? It's amazing. We were at Walmart. Hello, Walmart. You're welcome for the business. And we were there, and Cindy saw a little container this big, about the size of a $50, and it was earplugs. And I was like, where have these been all my life?
Yeah, instead of those big
yeah,
Yeah.
things
And
but
everywhere.
so,
when I
man.
did the earplugs, I, I was so little, I was trying to shove them all the way inside my ear, and it didn't really work for me because I could still hear the fireworks and they were still so loud.
Yeah, they
And
sure
see,
are
I could
loud.
hear the fireworks with my earplugs in, but they weren't as loud, and it wasn't the ones that made me jump, because they were
Yeah.
more muted.
It's that loud at the
Yeah,
end boom that comes like two
Yeah.
minutes after the.
And that gets me
yeah.
that gets me whether it's fireworks or if I'm riding Soren. Still, you will see me on the end
Oh,
of Soren. I'm tensing up, holding on to those
Oh
rails,
yeah, especially because the end of soaring, you literally fly right into those
and
fireworks
it
and you
makes
can
the
yeah.
thing
feel
move.
you
It
can
does. It
feel
shakes
the
it.
bang.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
funny. That's
so
funny.
anyway, but yeah, you're right, Sophie. That is actually a very valid point.
Yeah.
Um, I
Little kids
remember,
are gonna be so scared of that Big Bang if
yeah,
they're anything like me.
yeah, and I remember when we first met Brenda at the parks, 2011. We were there for the 40th anniversary of the
Yeah.
Magic Kingdom,
So fun.
and we were at the hub right for the fireworks show, and it was an absolute madhouse. There were
Yes.
50,000 people, it felt like, in that one area. And this poor dad and his little girl, they were stuck because we were sardined. We were a can of sardines, and we were all right here, and you're hoping no one is stealing your wallet.
Mm-hmm.
And you're holding on to your family because it was that tight. And
Yeah.
this poor dad, his daughter, the fireworks went off, and his daughter was terrified. And it was so sad because he was stuck. And they were
Oh,
trying to get to where they could go somewhere where they would be inside or whatever. And I think he ultimately made it, but not before the fireworks had started. And so I felt so bad for him, because you don't know. But yeah, you're right, Sophie. That's fireworks and that the evening entertainment that absolutely needs to be taken into account. And
oh yeah.
I
Yep.
remember when we were there with friends. I remember Carrie asking me when we were eating at Cinderella's table, and she was like, I wanted to know if you had a spot where we should go for being inside because her littles weren't all they weren't for the fireworks, and she's like, we need to get them inside. But as it turned out, what really happened on that was the time we had Cinderella's table, and we had 8:45
8:45.
Oh.
8:45 p.m. And I'm like, what a horrible time to be having dinner
Mm-mm.
with a 4-year-old who's like, I'm starving, and you got to wait till 8:45.
Yeah.
And but it worked out because while we were there, we were inside the restaurant in the castle, and then they announced the fireworks show was getting ready to start. And so we saw the fireworks from inside the castle,
Yeah.
It's a
and it
perfect
was
view.
so cool. And
Bec-
Carrie didn't have to worry about her kids getting out of the open air and getting them inside because they
yeah.
were already inside. It was so
That's
cool.
awesome.
And they
It,
probably had the best view that you could possibly get.
hmm it was so
Yep.
cool. And that's there's the Disney magic back in
Yeah.
full force.
Yeah.
The turning
Yeah.
a negative into a super positive. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, and for those of you who don't know, I'm sure 99% of our audience knows this already because they are Disney fans just like us. The fireworks are obviously not launched right at Cinderella Castle. That
Right.
would be a fire hazard of the nth degree. They're actually launched behind the entire park on a private Disney owned street, far enough away that it's not a danger to anybody in the park, but close enough that it looks like it's right there.
Yeah.
And that is just a wonder of Disney perspective and planning.
Exactly.
So you can see the fireworks from the castle because they're not being launched right above your head.
yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So, it's really cool and
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
neat. So, but yeah, that's actually a very valid point, Sophie. So, thank you for
Yeah.
remembering that.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that's it. Unless
Brenda,
someone
anything
else
else
has
you have to
something.
you want to close it up?
I have a couple of other things on my list. I have
Go
more than
for
a
it.
couple, but a couple that to me are pretty important.
Okay.
One is, I'm a mom. I'm a mom. I'm a Mimi. I love my kids. I love them as little kids. I love them as teenagers. I love them. I always do say, though, that grandchildren are the reward for not killing your teens when they were teens. But whatever. I love them all. But I must say
I'm
that
sorry, that is so funny.
when they're little, there's a particular fear. I'm a fearful person too, so there's a particular fear with my littles getting lost. And at Disney, children are never lost. Parents get lost at Disney. And that is what the cast member will say. Are your parents lost? And it's very important. I did two things when the kids were little. Number one, they had a label in their shirts or on their backpack that said their name and my phone number, so that if I was lost, they could contact me and I could go to wherever they were. The second thing is to get them get littles familiar with what the cast members' badges look like, so that if their parent is ever lost, they can find a cast member with one of those badges who can help them to find their lost parent. So that's very, very important. Don't have to do that for teens. No, I don't want my teens being lost, but teens know how to seek help. You know,
Yeah.
they're not
Yeah.
afraid to go up to a stranger, seek help. And I think that's a big difference between traveling with older kids and traveling with littles, because there are just so many people. That's what made me think of it. There are so many people, especially when you're crowded around the fireworks, etc. It would be very easy to get lost. So that's real important. Other
Yeah.
thing that I wanted to say was navigating lightning lanes can be very, very different when you're traveling with littles as when you're traveling with teens. For instance, usually when you're traveling with littles, you do all the rides together or you ride or switch, depending on what your family wants to do. But you book all of your lightning lanes together. So when you go to book the lightning lanes, you choose your whole family and you
Hmm.
choose the ride. But teens like to have some space and they like to kind of go off on their own in the park and then meet up with you. So when you're booking lightning lanes, you might be booking lightning lanes for you and your spouse, or maybe you, your spouse, and a little kid. And then the teens can choose other rides in the same park. So that looks different too. If you're not writing everything together. Some families will want to write everything together no matter what, and that's great. But if you're going to be splitting, you need to plan to do the lightning lane choices differently.
Yeah. That does matter.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
only other two that I felt are like important enough to
That
sneak in there at
also
the last minute.
and that also pertains not just to kids and teens, but also in different families traveling together too.
That's right.
Are they
And
wanting to
and
do
grand and
everything together and
multi-generational.
yeah, or are they like, you know what, I don't need to do that. And multi-generational,
Hmm.
maybe grandma, my mom, she's not going to ride Space Mountain. She's not going to ride any of those roller coasters. No
Yep.
sense
Especially
buying Lightning Lane for her. It's
especially
not a
not the
factor.
ones that kind of don't give you any leg room.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
Space Mountain especially. No leg
Yeah.
room.
that's true.
So,
Unless you got to be in the back. But too, like when we go on our multi-generational trips, Butch and I would ride all the like traditional Disney rides with the littles, and
mhm.
and then the adult kids of ours could ride the thrill stuff. So yeah, it's real personal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I
Well,
think that is a good ending to our topic, and that's really what it comes down to is how are you navigating your kids versus your teens, um and how is your planning going? So I hope that these are relevant things that make a difference for your trip coming up or the trip that you're thinking about planning. And of course, if you need any help planning it, reach out to Brenda or myself. We would love to help you with that. Um, but more than anything, it's all about making sure that our families have the best time ever at Disney, whether we helped you plan it or not. So
That's
that's
right.
really,
Just go
yeah,
and enjoy this
spend that
time with your
time.
family.
Yeah, because
Yes,
you need to, and it goes by way too quickly.
isn't
So,
that the truth?
you know,
yeah.
um, but thank you so much for that feature topic. And now, Sophie, out of all that, what is your question of the week?
Well, focusing heavily on the kids versus teens topic, my question of the week is what are your favorite Disney memories, either as a kid or as a teen? And I have a feeling that a lot of our audience has been to Disney a couple of times. They probably have experience with both of these types of scenarios where they're taking little children or they're taking their more grown-up children now, and I wonder what their favorite memories are. Did they prefer when their kids were kids, or did they prefer when they got a little bit older?
That's
Well,
interesting. I'd like to know what they say too.
I would too.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with my answer.
Yeah.
Um, my first trip was 1979. I was 11 years old, and my grandma and grandpa took me and my mom and my sister, and we went to the Magic Kingdom because there was only just the Magic Kingdom. And what I don't remember is any of the rides that I rode, which is funny. I don't remember any of that. I remember the long drive up World Drive to go park, and it felt like we drove for like an hour to get to the transportation and ticket center. And then we parked, and then we got on the monorail, and we went around on this futuristic train, and it took us, and then I saw this castle off in the distance, and we got off the monorail, and we saw this train track, this railroad station, and we went underneath, and we had totally left Florida, and we were in a brand new, this new world, this Magic Kingdom. And that is my ultimate memory, is seeing Town Square, seeing Main Street, and realizing that I have left Florida and I am in this new world. And it was such a transformation that that's what struck. And so Robin says that I rode Space Mountain and I hated it. I have no memory of riding Space Mountain.
That's
Zero.
funny.
I don't remember. I back then they had the e-ticket books. You had the
Maybe you
books.
hated it so much
Oh.
that you blocked it out of your memory
Maybe I
altogether.
did. Maybe I did. But they had the books, and so I remember having tickets to do the
Yep.
different
The
things.
e-tickets. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I still don't remember what I rode though. but but then
We-
what's really cool is seeing it through Sophie's eyes as a parent.
Aw.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
seeing her as a little kid, and then seeing her as she gets to be a teenager, and now seeing her as an adult, and those seasons, they matter. So that's why we had that
Yep.
topic. So
Yeah.
Yeah. But which one would you say has been your favorite?
the most recent, it's always the last trip.
Aw.
you know,
Okay.
because it's like um those memories, the more you go, the more you realize how special those memories are, you know? And so
That's
it's
true.
always, to me, the most recent is the one that I remember the most because it's the most you one that we had, you know? So,
Yeah.
Brenda?
All right, Aunt Brenda.
Well, my first trip to Walt Disney World was also 1979, but I was
Whoop,
15. My
whoop.
little brother's 4 years younger than me. But the whole trip it changed me forever because I, it was the first time I'd ever flown on an airplane. It was the first time I'd ever ridden in a taxi. Like, we live in Texas. We're sprawled out over here. We didn't even have taxis. Like, there were not taxis in Galveston at the time, at least not that I ever knew about. And so we flew in this airplane, which was fab. Then we get in this taxi and we're riding down the road, and he pulls into the parking lot, and I see this monstrosity A-framed resort with a tram running through the center of it, which is our hotel, which is, I've never even dreamt of something like that. Like, I never even thought
Yeah,
about anything like
yeah.
that. And we go into the contemporary, And I remember my sister and I spent a lot of time at River Country. My mom and Lewis would be like going to Magic Kingdom, and they would let us take the boat over to River Country, and we'd stay there all day. We'd hang out by the pool because my sister was a big tanner. We were at Rope Drop every morning and ran to Space Mountain. I mean, at full speed, running to get to it before the line got real long. And my mom made us these special Hawaiian dresses, and they took us to the luau when the luau was all the rave at the Polynesian. And we had this wonderful meal experience that I've never had. Everything was first
Mm-hmm.
everything
First everything.
on this trip. And I would never be the same. But you're right. When you're seeing it and sharing that special love for something with your kids and with your grandkids for the first time, there is nothing like that. I mean, the fact that Aaliyah started walking at Disney, like every, there's just so many. It's like when you replay your mind and you see so many things that have been special to you over
Yeah.
the years. That's why we do what we do. We want families to have that so badly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sophie?
Well, I don't have any kids or teens to experience Disney with, but I have to agree with Daddy that the most recent trip is my favorite trip. And the next time we go to Disney, then that one will be my favorite trip.
December.
I will be
Subliminal
in
message.
Aunt Brenda, I will be at school in December. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry, but that's just how it works. Well,
Hmm.
I'll be at school until December 16th, but at that point, the crowds will be very, very busy. However, my
Yeah.
favorite trip, not necessarily to a Disney park, has got to be the cruise. And I liked it because the cruise, I think, is especially special for teens. Kids, I mean, kids have the kids club. It's great and all the things, but the teens with more independence from their parents would love a cruise because when we were on the Disney Treasure, I was awake by 7 a.m., it felt like, and my parents were still in bed, and I would quietly get dressed, take care of what I needed to take care of, and then I would be like, hey guys, I am gonna go walk around the ship for a while. I'll meet you
Mm-hmm.
guys at Marceline Market for breakfast, okay? Or I'll come back here, depending on where you're at. And my dad was like, all right, have fun, roll over and go back to sleep.
Yep.
Yeah, he knew you couldn't get lost or
Right.
Yeah,
you're
Right.
on the ship.
how can you get lost on a ship in the middle of the ocean? The only way to
Mm-hmm.
do that is to fall overboard, and there are protocols against that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And
As
yeah,
we're
that's
protected.
the
but it felt like we were never apart.
right.
At Disney, whenever I would go off on my own, my parents, I could sense that they got a little bit worried. They're like, she's going off on her own a lot. And of course, it's Disney. It's safe. It's not like there's a guy who could hold me at gunpoint and mug me at Disney. So it's safe there, but it's also so much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So
For
much
sure.
bigger. So with the cruise, it's good for teens because you get that independence, but you're also very close to what is important, and that is the family. You still meet together a lot, and it's
Yeah.
good to have that.
Yeah,
And then
Yeah.
for
there
sure.
was, when we went to go see the newest Moana movie,
Oh my gosh.
there was that commercial about the Disney Cruise Lines, and you see the dad with the newborn baby, and he
Oh
tells the
God.
mom,
Oh,
You
we're
saw
gonna
it,
go
didn't you,
on the
Brenda?
midnight
yes.
walk
You
because we can't
started
sleep."
crying.
And then as it goes on, the kid grows up, they still do the walk, and then the kid gets married and has a kid of his own, and it's like, hey dad, you want to go for a walk with us? And it's so
No. Oh
heartwarming.
my gosh, it is.
And
You're
daddy
right.
about started bawling because they had the sense to play that same commercial two times in a row.
Twice. I'm like, oh, you're
In a
killing me.
row! And I'm like, deja vu, Daddy? And he's like, yeah, yeah.
It's good stuff. I mean,
Sweet.
Jesus, people are
Ugh,
just, oh, gall.
Yep.
all
Yep.
right.
All right. Well, that is the question of the week. What are your favorite Disney memories, both as a kid or as a teen? Did I get it right, Sophie?
Yeah, you did. So
Okay.
you were like 11,
Yes. And
and
Brenda
Aunt
was
Brenda was
15.
15, and I
Sophie,
was
overachiever, was,
24.
well, well, for your cruise, but your first trip, you were not. Your first trip, you were 4.
Yeah.
21 years of Disney, everybody.
Yep.
All
I'll
Yep.
right.
tell you another funny story. I don't know if I've said before, but when Linda's my sister. She's 3 years older than me. We were together in the Contemporary, and we would go. The Contempo Cafe wasn't there then. There was a restaurant that wasn't Chef Mickey's. It was a regular restaurant, and I had been dating Butch, who's now my husband, for 4 months maybe. And we were in there at night having dinner, and I was bawling at the table because I had talked to him on the phone and I was missing him so much. And now, all these millions of years later, here we still are. He
Yep.
just retired. It's
Yep.
funny to think
Ah,
about.
But what's funny is that was not you pulling out your cell phone.
Right.
That was calling from your
With a
resort.
rotary dial.
Yeah, and probably pay your parents probably paid like $10 for that call, and then you're bawling your eyes out at Disney. It's like, come on, girl.
oh,
I know, but it's funny to think about still.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, that's what it's about. It's about the memories.
Yeah.
All right, Sophie, it's time
all
for this day
right.
in Disney history for July 27th. So take it away.
I will indeed. The year is 1955, where the future Disney legend Bill Sullivan officially starts working at Disneyland as a ticket taker on the Jungle Cruise attraction at age 19. He is also called Sully, just to be clear. After 3 years of working as a jungle bunny, he will become a part of Disney management. Sully will later work on the Winter Olympics in Squaw Valley and the New York World's Fair. Eventually, he will be relocated to Florida to assist with the opening of Walt Disney World. In 1987, he will be named Vice President of the Magic Kingdom.
Wow.
There is a quote from him that reads, I watched the opening ceremonies for Disneyland. The following Saturday, I went down and applied for a job. On Monday, I quit Northrop Aircraft, and Tuesday, I reported to work as a ticket taker at the Jungle Cruise. And the
Nice.
reason I chose this was admittedly because the name, but I fact checked this. Bill Sully Sullivan is not the namesake for James P. Sullivan in Monsters, Inc. However, James's father, Bill Sullivan, may be a reference.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I was thinking Sully because Sully is
Uh-huh.
the
For Monsters
Yeah,
character
Inc.
from
Yeah.
Monsters Inc.
but
So,
Sully was actually named for Pat Sullivan, one of the Pixar animators.
Oh,
okay.
makes
Okay.
sense.
But still,
Thank
kind
you,
of
Yeah,
cool.
Sophie. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
thank
good
you.
history. All right. Well, I if I had planned it better, I would have had our weekly window from a couple weeks ago be Dave Smith because Sophie mentioned him in the history a couple weeks ago.
Well, it's all right.
But my weekly window this week is from the book about the weekly windows, and it is referring to Dave Smith, who has a window in Disneyland at the Fortuosity Shop. So
Ooh.
Dave Smith, of course, is the archivist or was the archivist for Walt Disney. He's the one who started the Walt Disney Archives. His lifespan from 1940 to 2019. He passed away in 2019. He worked for Disney from 1970 to 2010, so 40 years. And he became a Disney legend in 2007, and he got his window was added in 2022 after he had passed away.
Oh,
Um, the window text said New Century Historical Society, Dave Smith, Town Archivist, preserving, protecting, and presenting our fond memories of the past. And what's really cool is that he established the Walt Disney Archives on June 22nd, 1970. And over those 40 years, he gathered together all the archival things that went into the archives that became what is known as the Walt Disney Archives. And so what's really neat about it is that um, that he wanted to remember the memories of the past, which is part of what the opening plaque for Disneyland talks about is the the fond memories of the past. Um,
yeah,
Yeah.
and so what's really important is that he's bringing light back to Walt and remembering Walt in the opening of Disneyland in that window, but also he is remembering Walt because he started this archives and everything like that, not in the transition period from when Walt had passed on. So it was a momentous time in Disney's history
yeah,
of there is no Walt, and how do we remember and how do we link the future with the past? And so
yeah,
the archiving and the creation of the Walt Disney Archives, I think did a really phenomenal job of bridging that gap between Walt and what happens after Walt. And so I think it's really cool that um that's how that all came together. And so I think having Dave Smith as our weekly window, I think is very important to remember. So,
definitely. That's awesome.
yeah. So it's really cool. And this book is really neat because we learn and this window is in the chapter on caretakers. And so we learn so much about the people behind Disney, and that's why I really like the series. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
all right. Well, that is our weekly Disney window. So Brenda, close us out with a little bit of Walt.
Okay. Disneyland is like a piece of clay. If there is something I don't like, I'm not stuck with it. I can reshape and revamp. Walt
That's
Disney.
right.
He said
Absolutely.
that kind of thing in many different quotes, but this one I'm not sure I saw before.
Yeah. That's a good quote though. And that's just it. And it kind of pertains to the whole Disneyland will never be finished, you know?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
that it's always evolving and updating and staying relevant.
Mhm.
And so,
Hmm.
and boy, we sure do.
Now
We sure
imagine
do
if
see
Walt
that.
had not said that though. Imagine if Walt was like, "Yeah, now that Disneyland's finished, it is timeless, it is perfect." And then all of a sudden it never gets changed and so it fades into obscurity. I'm glad that it changes. As much as I love it when things stay the same because I love those things and I'm sad to see them go, it is important that updates are made. It is
Yeah.
important that things change to reflect what people value.
Yeah. Yeah, it needs to
Yeah.
stay relevant because life has changed an awful lot since back then.
Sure
Yeah.
has. It sure has. All right. Well, thank you, Walt, for the quote, and thank you,
Yes.
Brenda, for sharing it, of
You're welcome.
course. And
Yes.
that, my friends, wraps us up for this week. So, coming next week, we're doing another sort of this isn't the exact same as what we did this week, of course, because they never are. But we are looking at Disney for first-time visitors.
And you know what? That reminded me of something.
Save it for next week.
Well, I was going to say this because you told me about this while we were thinking for this episode, Daddy. You have some clients right now who are first-timers and who are going with little kids.
Yeah, I have clients that are going in September, their first trip ever, and their daughter is actually 15.
Oh, my.
They're going to have a blast.
So
well,
what
way,
we're
don't you
doing is
we should dedicate a couple of episodes to them to make it special.
Well, we will next week. But
Okay.
in any event, that's what we're talking about. Your Disney for first-time visitors and what that looks like. And some of this might be a little bit of similar stuff, choosing your resort and all that and those kinds of things. But also just some things that maybe you don't think about, and just to remember, the priorities and what matters, So
Yeah.
So that's coming up next week. But until then, we hope you have a great week. I'm Mike. She's Sophie. That's Brenda. And he's Grogu. And we will see you on
See you on
the
the
road.
road.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.